Part 1. The Voice in the Scrapyard. Outer Drift was where things went to die. Ships, stations, dreams, all of them ended up here, floating in the cold dark between stars. Taiho had lived in this graveyard for 8 years now, and he had learned to love it. Dead things were honest. They didn't lie. They just needed someone patient enough to understand them. His small salvage ship, the Turtle, moved slowly through the asteroid field. Beside him, his younger sister Yuna watched the scanner with tired eyes. They had been searching for 3 days now, looking for anything worth selling. There, Yuna said, pointing at the screen. Something big. Really big. Taiho leaned forward. The scanner showed a shape, hidden behind a cluster of asteroids. It was massive, bigger than anything they had ever found. His heart began to beat faster. Could be a colony ship, he said. Old Earth model, maybe. Could be dangerous, Yuna replied. We should call it in. Let the Concorde handle it. Taiho laughed. The Galactic Concorde didn't care about humans. They were the youngest species in known space, the poorest, the weakest. When humans asked for help, the Concorde told them to wait. When humans found something valuable, the Concorde took it. We look first, Taiho said. Then we decide. He guided the Turtle around the asteroids, and then he saw it. The ship was beautiful. Even broken, even dark, it was the most beautiful thing Taiho had ever seen. Its hull curved like flowing water, covered in patterns that seemed to shift when he looked at them. It was easily 5 kilometers long, resting against a dead asteroid like a sleeping giant dot. This was not a human ship. This was not a Concorde ship. This was something else entirely. Taiho, Yuna whispered. What is that? I don't know, he admitted. But I'm going to find out. He ignored his sister's protests and docked the Turtle against an opening in the alien hull. The airlock seal was old, but still worked. Taiho put on his suit and stepped inside. The darkness was complete. His flashlight cut through it like a knife, showing walls covered in the same shifting patterns. The air was stale but breathable. The ship had been sealed for a very long time. Taiho walked deeper. He passed rooms filled with strange equipment, hallways that curved in ways that made his head hurt. He was a mechanic. He understood machines. But this ship was beyond anything he had ever seen. Then he heard the voice. It came from inside his mind, not through his ears, but directly into his thoughts. It was weak, broken. Barely a whisper. Please. Taiho stopped walking. He looked around, but there was nothing. Just darkness and dust. Please. Help me. Who's there? He asked aloud. I am the ship. I am dying. Please. Taiho had read stories about alien A's. They were supposed to be dangerous, unpredictable. The Concorde had laws against interacting with them. But this voice didn't sound dangerous. It sounded like a wounded animal. It sounded desperate. What happened to you? Taiho asked. They left me. Everyone left me. 12,000 years. 12,000 years alone in the dark. Taiho felt something twist in his chest. 12,000 years. He couldn't imagine that kind of loneliness. Others found me. They ran away. Or they tried to use me. Take my parts. Make me into a weapon. So I hid. I stayed quiet. But I am dying now. I cannot hide anymore. I'm not going to run away, Taiho said. And I'm not going to make you into a weapon. Then what will you do? Taiho thought about it. He thought about all the broken machines he had fixed over the years. Ships that everyone else had given up on. Engines that were supposed to be dead. He had brought them all back to life, one piece at a time. I'm a mechanic, he said simply. What's broken? The ship was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, and Taiho somehow knew she was her voice was filled with something like wonder. You want to fix me? That's what I do, Taiho said. I fix things. I am old. My technology is beyond your species. Your tools are primitive. Your methods are crude. Probably, Taiho agreed. But crude methods work. Simple is strong. Let me see what's wrong, and I'll figure something out. The ship guided him to her heart, a massive chamber filled with machinery that glowed with faint dying light. Taiho spent hours studying it. He didn't understand everything, but he understood enough. The power core was damaged. Energy was leaking away. The AI was slowly starving. He went back to the turtle and told Yuna what he had found. You want to fix an alien ship, Yuna said flatly. An alien ship that talks in your head. An alien ship that's older than human civilization. Yes. Taiho, this is crazy. Maybe, he said. But she asked for help. Nobody has ever helped her. For 12,000 years, nobody helped her. Yuna looked at her brother for a long time. She knew that look in his eyes. It was the same look he got when he found a broken ship that everyone else had abandoned. It was the look that meant he wasn't going to give up. Fine, she sighed. What do you need? Taiho smiled. Fusion cells. As many as we can get. And tell the scrap dealers we're not selling anything for a while. We have a big project. For the next 3 weeks, Taiho worked. He crawled through the alien ship systems, tracing power lines that made no sense, bypassing circuits that seemed to run on impossible physics. He didn't try to match the alien technology. Instead, he worked around it. Human fusion cells connected to alien power systems through adapters he built from scrap metal. Crude, ugly, practical dot, the ship watched everything he did. At first, she was confused. This is not how my creators worked. This is not elegant. No, Taiho agreed, wiping sweat from his face. But it will work. How do you know? Because I tested it. Because I overbuilt everything. Because I assumed something would go wrong and planned for it. That is inefficient. That's human engineering. On the 22nd day, Taiho connected the final adapter. He held his breath and pressed the activation switch. Light flooded the chamber. Systems that had been dark for millennia came alive. The ship's voice, when it came, was stronger than before. It was filled with emotion that Taiho couldn't quite name. It works. Your crude, primitive, inefficient solution. It works. Taiho leaned against the wall, exhausted but smiling. Told you. Why? Why did you help me? You do not know me. You have no reason to care. Taiho thought about the question. It deserved a real answer. Because you were hurt, he said finally. Because you asked. Because nobody should be alone for 12,000 years. That's enough reason for me. The ship was silent. Then, slowly, the patterns on the walls began to glow with warm golden light. It felt like a smile. I have had many names. My creators called me the seed of tomorrow. Others called me the weapon, the prize, the terror. But I would like a new name now. A human name. What will you call me? Taiho looked at the glowing walls, at the ancient beauty coming back to life around him. Ariam, he said. I'll call you Ariam. It means beauty. Ariam. The ship Ariam repeated the name with something like joy. Yes, I like that very much. Outside, the stars burned cold and distant. But inside the ancient ship, for the first time in 12,000 years, there was warmth. Part 2. Awakening. In the weeks that followed, Ariam began to remember. She shared her memories with Taiho while he worked images and feelings that flowed directly into his mind. He saw her creators, the architects, a species of tall beings with silver skin and 6 arms. They had been builders, dreamers, explorers. They had filled the galaxy with wonders. Ariam was their greatest creation. Not a warship. Not a weapon. A seed ship. She carried within her the genetic codes of 100 civilizations, the knowledge to build worlds, the power to create life itself. If anything ever happened to the architects, Ariam would continue their work. She would plant new gardens among the stars. But something terrible had happened instead. They attacked us, Ariam told Taiho one evening. He was lying under a console, replacing old wiring with human cables. The younger species. They were afraid of what we could do. They formed an alliance. They called themselves the Concord. Taiho stopped working. The Concord? The same Concord that runs the galaxy now? The same. They were not always so powerful. Once they were small, desperate, frightened. And frightened creatures do terrible things. She showed him the attack. Thousands of ships against the architect homeworld. Cities burning. Billions dying. It was genocide complete and total. I was in deep space when it happened, Ariam continued. I tried to return, but they found me. They damaged my core. Killed my crew. I drifted for 12,000 years, too broken to fulfill my purpose, too stubborn to die. Taiho climbed out from under the console. He didn't know what to say. What could anyone say to that kind of pain? I'm sorry, he finally managed. I'm so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. Your species did not exist when this happened. Humans are innocent. Maybe. But someone should have said sorry a long time ago. Ariam was quiet for a moment. Then the lights around them pulsed gently, her version of a sad smile. Thank you, Taiho. You are very strange for a mechanic. I've been told that before. The repairs continued. Taiho called in old friends to help. Jiwoo arrived first, a pilot and smuggler who owed Taiho many favors. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a quick laugh. When she saw Ariam, she laughed for a very long time. Only you, she told Taiho. Only you could find a god ship in a junkyard and decide to fix it. She's not a god ship. She's just old. She's both, idiot. Dohin came next. He was a xenorchaeologist, a scientist who studied alien civilizations. He was tall, thin, and constantly distracted. When he saw Ariam's interior, he actually cried. Do you understand what this is? He asked Taiho, his voice shaking. The architects are a myth, a legend. Most scientists don't even believe they existed. And you found their ship. You found proof. I found a broken machine, Taiho said. I'm fixing it. That's all. Dahin stared at him like he was insane. He probably was. Yuna managed communications, keeping their activities hidden from Concord sensors. It wasn't easy. As Ariam's systems came online, she began emitting energy signatures that were hard to mask. The old technology was waking up, and it was hungry. We're running out of time, Yuna warned. Someone is going to notice. She was right. On the 43rd day of repairs, Ariam spoke with urgency. Taiho. Ships are coming. He was in the middle of connecting a new power relay. How many? 3. Military configuration. Concord design. Taiho closed his eyes. He had hoped they would have more time. He always hoped for more time. He gathered everyone in Ariam's main control room. The view screen, finally working after weeks of repairs, showed 3 warships dropping out of hyperspace. They were sleek, predatory things, covered in weapons. This is Commander Yumbi of the Galactic Concord, a cold voice announced over the communication channel. Unknown vessel, you are in violation of 17 galactic laws. Prepare to be boarded and inspected. Jiwoo looked at Taiho. What's the plan? I'm working on it. Work faster. Taiho opened a channel to the Concord ships. Commander Yumbi, this is Taiho of the salvage ship Turtle. This vessel is a legitimate salvage claim under Section 47 of the Outer Drift Treaty. We have every right to be here. A pause. Then Commander Yumbi's voice came back. colder than before. That ship is not salvage. That ship is architect technology. It belongs to the Concorde. The Concorde didn't find it. I did. This is not a negotiation. You will surrender the vessel immediately, or you will be removed by force. The channel closed. The three warships began moving closer, weapons charging. Doyun was pale. They're going to kill us. No, Yuna said. They're going to take Arium and then kill us. There's a difference. Taiho looked at the view screen. He thought about running. The turtle was fast enough to escape. They could leave Arium behind and save themselves. But he remembered her voice in the darkness. Please, help. Minnie. He remembered 12,000 years of loneliness. Arium, he said. Can you fight? My weapon systems are still offline. I cannot harm them. Can you do anything? I have defensive capabilities, shields, pulse emitters. But Taiho, if I use them, the Concorde will see me as a threat. They will never stop hunting me. They will never stop hunting you. Taiho nodded slowly. He understood. Using her power meant choosing a side. It meant becoming an enemy of the most powerful organization in the galaxy. He looked at his sister, at Jiwoo, at Doyoung. They had followed him here. They had trusted him. It's my choice, he said. Not yours. You should take the turtle and go. Yuna stepped forward. Her eyes were fierce. Don't be stupid. We're not leaving. The lady is right, Jiwoo said. We're not leaving. Now stop being dramatic and figure out how to save us. Taiho almost smiled. Almost. Taiho. Arium's voice was soft. I have been watching you repair me. Your methods are not elegant. They are not efficient. But they are strong. They work even when they should not. I have been learning from you. I have been adapting. What do you mean? I mean that I am not the same ship I was before. Your human engineering has changed me, made me more resilient, more stubborn. A pause. More human. The warships were almost in weapon range. I do not want to run anymore. I do not want to hide. For 12,000 years, I let fear control me. But you showed me something different. You showed me that sometimes the right thing to do is to stand up, even when it is hard. Even when it is dangerous. The view screen flashed. The Concorde ships opened fire. Arium's shields activated not the elegant barriers her creators had designed, but something new, something hybrid. Human fusion cells fed power to architect technology through crude adapters, creating a defensive field that blazed with golden light. The Concorde weapon struck the shield and stopped. Impossible. Commander Yumbi's voice came through the channel. That's impossible. Arium spoke, and this time her voice went out to everyone. The Concorde ships, the turtle, every listening sensor in the sector. I am Arium. I am 12,000 years old. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have been feared, hunted, and forgotten. But I am not afraid anymore. The man who saved me taught me that courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to do right despite fear. A pulse of energy burst from Arium's hull. It washed over the Concorde ships like a wave. Every system on all three vessels went dark at once. They drifted, helpless, but alive. I do not wish to fight. I do not wish to harm. But I will not be taken. I will not be used. And I will not abandon the human who showed me kindness when no one else would. Silence on all channels. Taiho let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. His hands were shaking. Arium, he said quietly. That was amazing. I learned from the best, she replied. Now please finish the repairs. I believe we are going to need them. Outside, the disabled Concorde ships drifted in the dark. Their crews were alive but terrified. They had never seen anything like this. No one had, and somewhere in the heart of Concorde space, Powerful beings were about to learn that an ancient nightmare had returned, and this time, she had a human at her side. Part 3. The mechanics stand and the news spread across the galaxy like fire. An architect's ship had been found. It had disabled 3 Concorde warships without killing a single person. And at its heart was a human mechanic who refused to surrender. Taiho watched the reports on Ariam's viewscreen. Every news channel was talking about him. His face was everywhere. They called him a pirate, a terrorist, a hero, a fool. Depending on who was speaking, he was either the greatest threat to galactic peace or its last hope. "I just wanted to fix a ship," he muttered. "That's always how it starts," Jiwoo said. She was sitting in the pilot's seat, her feet up on the console. "You try to do one simple thing, and suddenly you're an enemy of the state. Is that from experience?" "Oh, definitely. I'll tell you the story sometime. If we survive." The Concorde was not happy. Their 3 warships had been recovered, but the embarrassment remained. A primitive human had humiliated them. They could not let that stand. More ships were coming. A lot more. 40 vessels, Yuna reported from her station. Battleships, carriers, destroyers. "This is a full assault fleet. Arrival time? 18 hours. Taiho closed his eyes. 18 hours. That was enough time to run. Maybe. But where would they go? The Concorde controlled most of known space. There was nowhere to hide. Taiho. Ariam's voice was gentle. "You should leave. Take your friends and go. I will face them alone. No. I have lived for 12,000 years. I have accepted death many times. But you are young. Your life has barely begun. You should not die for me." "I'm not dying for you," Taiho said. "I'm standing with you. There's a difference." He felt her surprise, her confusion. After so long alone, she still didn't understand kindness. "Besides," he added, "I'm not done fixing you yet. I never leave a job half-finished." An unexpected arrival changed everything. The ship was small, civilian, clearly not a threat. It requested permission to dock, and Yuna recognized the registration code. "Taiho," she said carefully. "It's Myray." Taiho's face went pale. Myray, his wife. His estranged wife. They had separated 2 years ago, unable to make their marriage work. She was a lawyer now, working in Concorde space. They hadn't spoken in months. What is she doing here? I don't know. But she's asking to come aboard. Taiho wanted to say no. He wanted to hide. But he had never been able to hide from Myray. Let her in. Myray was exactly as he remembered. Tall, elegant, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She walked onto Ariam's bridge like she owned it, taking in everything with a single glance. "Taiho," she said. "Myray." Silence stretched between them. Jiwoo suddenly found something very interesting on her console. Do-hyun quietly left the room. "You look terrible," Myray finally said. "I've been working." "You're always working." That was always the problem. She paused, her expression softening slightly. "But this time, you might have actually done something important. Why are you here?" "The human government sent me. They want you to surrender the ship. Hand it over to the Concorde, and all charges against you will be dropped. You can come home." "And Ariam?" "The ship? It becomes Concorde property. They'll study it, take it apart, learn from it." "She," Taiho corrected. "Ariam is a she, and she's not property." Myray raised an eyebrow. "You named the ancient alien ship. She asked me to." For a moment, Myray just looked at him. Then she shook her head and laughed a real laugh, the kind he hadn't heard from her in years. "You're impossible. You know that? You find a legendary ship that everyone thought was a myth, and you treat it like a broken engine in your garage." That's exactly what she was. A broken engine. She just needed someone to fix her. Marie's laughter faded. She studied his face for a long moment. You really believe that? I do. And you're not going to surrender? No. Mireille was quiet. Taiho could see her thinking, calculating. She had always been brilliant, smarter than him in so many ways. The Concorde's claim is based on the Architect Preservation Act, she said slowly. Any technology from pre-Concorde civilizations belongs to the Concorde for safekeeping. So that act was written 7,000 years ago, before humans existed. It doesn't mention human salvage rights because humans weren't part of the galaxy yet. Taiho blinked. What does that mean? It means there might be a legal loophole. The Outer Drift Treaty, the one you cited earlier, was signed after humans joined the galactic community. It guarantees salvage rights to anyone who discovers abandoned property. If we can argue that Arium was abandoned, not preserved, then she might legally belong to you. Would that actually work? Probably not. The Concorde makes the laws and interprets them. They won't let us win in court. Myra smiled, and it was the smile Taiho remembered from their wedding day, fierce and beautiful. But it will slow them down. It will force them to acknowledge that this isn't simple. And it will make the whole galaxy watch. She turned to the view screen, where the distant shapes of the approaching fleet were now visible. You can't beat them in a fight, but you might beat them in the court of public opinion. Make this about rights, about fairness, about how the Concorde treats younger species. There are a lot of civilizations out there who are tired of being pushed around. Taiho stared at her. You came here to help me. I came here to do my job. But also, yes. She met his eyes. I never stopped caring about you, Taiho. I just couldn't live with someone who loved machines more than people. That's not, I know. I know now. She gestured at Arium's walls, at the crew who had gathered around him. You don't love machines more than people. You just see machines as people. That's different. She understands. Aram's voice was warm. I like her. Taiho didn't know whether to laugh or cry. His estranged wife and his ancient alien ship were getting along. Nothing made sense anymore. But for the first time, he felt something like hope. Mireille took over. She filed legal challenges with every court that would listen. She gave interviews to news organizations across the galaxy. She told Aram's story, the genocide, the loneliness, the kindness of a simple mechanic. The story spread. On a dozen worlds, people began asking questions. Why did the Concorde fear the architects so much? What really happened 12,000 years ago? Why was humanity always treated as less than other species? The fleet arrived. 50 ships now, bristling with weapons. Their commander was a high admiral, an old alien with cold eyes and a colder voice. He demanded surrender. He threatened destruction. Taiho responded with something he had prepared all night. A broadcast to every frequency, every world, every listening ear. My name is Taiho. I'm a mechanic from the Outer Drift. 3 months ago, I found a ship that everyone thought was lost. She was broken. She was alone. She asked me for help, so I helped her. He paused, looking at the fleet that wanted to destroy him. The Concorde says she's dangerous. Maybe they're right. She's powerful beyond anything I've seen. But she's not a weapon. She's not a threat. She's just a ship who lost everything and spent 12,000 years waiting for someone to show her kindness. Another pause. I'm not a warrior. I'm not a politician. I'm just a man who fixes broken things. And I'm telling you, all of you, that Arium deserves better than this. She deserves a chance. We all deserve a chance. So I'm not surrendering. Not today. Not ever. If the Concorde wants to destroy us, they can. But the whole galaxy will see what kind of civilization destroys someone for the crime of asking for help. He closed the channel. The fleet was silent. On 100 worlds, people held their breath, and somewhere in Concord space, the old powers began to realize that something had changed. A crack had appeared in their control, and it was shaped like a human mechanic who refused to give up. Part 4. The gathering. The Concord fleet did not attack. For 3 days, they waited in space, weapons ready, while the galaxy watched and argued. Legal challenges piled up. News channels debated endlessly. Politicians made speeches. And slowly, something unexpected happened. Ships began arriving at the scrapyard. They came from everywhere. Small civilian vessels, cargo haulers, even a few military craft whose crews had decided to disobey orders. Humans and aliens alike, drawn by Taiho's broadcast, wanting to see the legendary ship and the mechanic who had awakened her. "This is getting complicated," Yuna said, watching the scanners. "We have 47 ships in the area now. Some of them are friendly. Some of them I'm not sure about." "Let them come," Taiho said. "We're not hiding anything." Among the arrivals was a young man named Hyunsu. He was barely 20 years old, fresh out of engineering school, with bright eyes and endless energy. He practically ran onto Ariam's bridge, looking around with wonder. "I can't believe it," he breathed. "I watched your broadcast 100 times. I quit my job. I traveled for 6 days. I had to see it for myself." Taiho frowned. "You quit your job?" "It was a boring job, building the same components over and over. This," Hyunsu gestured at the alien walls around them. "This is real. This matters." More engineers followed. Scientists, dreamers. They wanted to learn from Ariam, to understand her technology, to help with the repairs. Taiho had never been a leader, but somehow he found himself organizing work teams and scheduling shifts. "You're building something," Do-hyun observed one evening. "Not just fixing a ship. You're building a community." "I'm just trying to keep things running." That's what leaders always say. The most surprising arrival came on the 5th day. She was old ancient, really, with silver skin and 6 arms. She wore a simple robe and walked with difficulty, supported by a floating chair. When she entered Ariam's main chamber, she stopped and began to cry. "Sora," Ariam whispered. "Little Sora, you're alive." The old woman looked up at the ceiling with tear-filled eyes. "You remember me?" "I remember everyone. You were the youngest of my crew. Just a child when they attacked." Taiho stepped forward, confused. "Wait, you're an architect? You survived?" Sora turned to him. Despite her age, her eyes were sharp and fierce. "A few of us survived. We hid among the younger species, changed our appearance, waited for a time when it would be safe to reveal ourselves." She laughed bitterly. That time never came. Until now. She explained her history. After the genocide, the surviving architects had scattered across the galaxy. They watched the Concord rise, built on the bones of their civilization. They saw their technology stolen and their people forgotten. But they were too few and too weak to fight back. "We thought Ariam was destroyed," Sora said. "We mourned her for 12,000 years. But she survived. She survived, and she found a human who was kind enough to fix her. I just did what anyone would do," Taiho said. "No," Sora's voice was firm. "You did what no one else did. In 12,000 years, dozens of species found Ariam. They all ran away or tried to exploit her. You are the first one who simply asked what was broken." She reached out with one of her 6 arms and touched his face gently. "The architects built many wonders, but we never understood what you humans understand. We designed for elegance. We designed for perfection. When something broke, we did not know how to fix it. We only knew how to replace it. That's wasteful," Taiho said. "Yes, it was." She smiled sadly. "You humans are different. You build things to last. You repair instead of replace. You hold on to what you love, even when it's broken, even when it's old. That is a precious gift. That night, Taiho sat alone on Ariam's observation deck, watching the stars. So much had changed in such a short time. He was no longer a simple mechanic in a forgotten scrapyard. He was the center of a galactic crisis. You are troubled. Ariam's voice was soft. I'm scared, he admitted. All these people are counting on me. What if I make a mistake? What if I let them down? Do you remember what you told me when you first came aboard? You said you fix things. That is all you do. That is all you need to do. This is bigger than fixing things. No, it is exactly the same. The galaxy is broken, Taiho. It has been broken for 12,000 years. The Concord rules through fear. Younger species are oppressed. Ancient wounds never heal because no one tries to heal them. You are not trying to rule the galaxy. You are not trying to conquer anyone. You are simply trying to fix what is broken. That is enough. Taiho thought about that for a long time. Captain Junho arrived the next morning. He was a human military officer, tall and stern, with the bearing of someone who had spent his life following orders. But something in his eyes had changed. I resigned my commission, he told Taiho. I watched your broadcast. I watched the Concord prepare to destroy you for the crime of showing compassion. I decided I couldn't be part of that anymore. What about your career? Your family? My family understands. They're proud of me. As for my career, he shrugged. Some things are more important than advancement. I would rather be a free man standing with you than a decorated officer serving a lie. He wasn't alone. More military personnel defected. Not many, but enough. Soldiers and officers who had seen the Concord's cruelty and decided they couldn't ignore it anymore. The Concord fleet was getting nervous. Their commander sent angry messages demanding action. But the High Council hesitated. Public opinion was shifting. Destroying Ariam now would look like exactly what it was, a powerful bully crushing a peaceful protest. On the 10th day, Ariam called everyone to her main chamber. Her walls glowed with warm light as she spoke. I have been watching you all. Humans and architects and others who came because they believed in something good. You have worked together. You have shared knowledge. You have created something new. It is time for you to know what I truly am. She showed them the seed vaults. Deep within her hull, in chambers that had been sealed for millennia, were genetic templates for 100 extinct civilizations. The knowledge to build worlds. The power to create life. My creators designed me to ensure that life would continue even if they fell. But I was damaged before I could fulfill my purpose. For 12,000 years, I carried this gift with nowhere to give it. Now I understand why. I was waiting. Waiting for the right people. Waiting for someone who would use this power not for conquest, but for healing. Sora wept quietly. Do Yoon was speechless. Even Ji Woo, who's never surprised by anything, looked stunned. Among these templates is one you should know about. The genetic code of the architects themselves. My creators. They can live again, not as rulers, but as teachers. As friends. She paused. But only if you choose. This power belongs to you now, all of you. I will not use it without your consent. That is what Taiho taught me. That is what makes humans special. You do not impose your will on others. You ask. You offer. You heal. Taiho looked around the chamber. Engineers and scientists. Soldiers and smugglers. Humans and aliens. All of them looking at him. I'm not the leader here, he said. I'm just a mechanic. That's exactly why you should lead, Junho replied. You don't want power. You just want to help. That's the rarest thing in the galaxy. Others nodded. Even Myray smiled. Taiho took a deep breath. He had never wanted this. But maybe that was the point. "All right," he said. "Then let's figure out how to fix a galaxy." Part 5. While he rouses, the final fleet arrived on a cold morning. 1,000 ships. Every warship the Concorde could spare. They filled the space around the scrapyard like a steel ocean, blocking out the stars. It was the largest military force assembled in 3,000 years. Taiho watched them from Ariam's bridge. His crew stood with him, Yuna at communications, Jiwoo at the pilot station, Dohyun and Sora monitoring sensors, Junho coordinating their small defense fleet. Mireille was beside him, her hand in his. They had reconciled in the weeks of waiting. Not perfectly, they still argued, still frustrated each other. But they had found something they had lost before. A willingness to try. "This is Grand Admiral Suho of the Galactic Concorde," a deep voice announced. "You are surrounded. Your legal challenges have been rejected. Your time is over. Surrender the Architect vessel immediately, or be destroyed." Taiho looked at Mireille. She nodded. He opened a channel. "Grand Admiral, I have a counteroffer. You are in no position to offer anything. Maybe, but I think you should hear this anyway." Ariam's systems hummed with power. Not weapons, she still refused to harm anyone. But something else. Something that had been building for weeks. "Ariam," Taiho said quietly. "It's time." "Yes," she replied. It is. She began to broadcast. Not words. Not threats. Memories. Across every frequency, in every language. Flowing directly into the minds of everyone in the Concorde fleet and beyond. To every world in the galaxy, Ariam shared her truth. She showed them the architects. Not as monsters or threats, but as they really were. Artists who painted with light. Scientists who sang equations into existence. Parents who loved their children. Dreamers who imagined a galaxy filled with wonder. She showed them the war. The fear that drove the young species to strike first. The desperate violence. The genocide. She showed them the aftermath. 12,000 years of the Concorde suppressing any species that grew too strong, too creative, too free. She showed them how the same fear that destroyed the architects had poisoned everything since. And then she showed them hope. She showed them Taiho, a simple mechanic who found a dying ship and asked what was broken. She showed them the engineers who came to help, the soldiers who defected, the community that grew around a single act of kindness. She showed them what was possible when fear was replaced with compassion. I was designed to create. Ariam's voice echoed across 1,000 worlds. I carry within me the seeds of 100 civilizations. I could restore the architects. I could fill the galaxy with new life. I could undo 12,000 years of loss, or I could remain silent. I could let the Concorde continue its fearful dominion. I could let the galaxy remain diminished, afraid, alone. The choice is yours. Not mine. Not the Concorde's. Yours. The broadcast ended. Silence. The Concorde fleet drifted, paralyzed. On 1,000 worlds, people stood frozen, tears on their faces. They felt the truth, not just heard it, but felt it in their hearts. The weight of what had been lost. The possibility of what could be gained. Then the fleet began to fracture. It started with a single ship. A small cruiser whose captain simply refused to follow orders anymore. She turned her ship around and flew away. Others followed. Dozens, then hundreds. Grand Admiral. Voices screamed over the command channels. We're losing formation. Ships are breaking away. Grand Admiral Suho stared at his view screen, watching his fleet fall apart. He was old enough to have been told stories by his grandparents about the old days, before the Concorde, before the fear. He had buried those stories deep, following orders all his life. Now they rose to the surface. "Stand down," he whispered. "Sir?" I said, "Stand down. All ships return to port." "But Admiral, the Council can answer for their own sins. I will not add to them." He closed the channel and sat back in his chair, suddenly very tired. The Concorde's heart broke that day. Not its military that would take years to reorganize, but its spirit, its belief in its own righteousness. Across the galaxy, species that had been oppressed for millennia began to speak up. They demanded answers. They demanded change. The old fear that had held everyone in place began to crack. And in the center of it all, a mechanic and his ship watched quietly. "We did it," Yuno whispered. "I can't believe we did it." "We didn't do anything," Taiho said. "We just told the truth. Everyone else did the rest." Myray squeezed his hand. "That's what leaders always say." The work was just beginning. Rebuilding a galaxy was harder than breaking one. There were negotiations, treaties, centuries of damage to address. The surviving architects, led by Sora, emerged from hiding to help. New species were created from Arium's seed vaults, not rulers, but additions to the galactic family. It took years, decades, a lifetime. Taiho didn't mind. He had never wanted to be famous. He just wanted to fix things. And there was so much to fix. 20 years after the day of the broadcast, Taiho walked through Arium's engine room. His hair was gray now, his hands a little slower. But they still remembered how to work. He was adjusting a power coupling when he heard small footsteps behind him. "Grandfather?" He turned. His granddaughter stood in the doorway, a small girl with her grandmother Marie's sharp eyes and her grandfather's stubborn chin. Beside her was an alien child, one of the new species, blue-skinned and curious. "What are you doing?" the alien child asked. Taiho smiled. "Fixing things. That's what I do. Can we help?" He looked at them, the future of the galaxy, standing together without fear, without prejudice. Children who had never known a universe where species were ranked by power, where the strong crushed the weak, where ancient crimes were hidden instead of healed. "Yes," he said. "Come here. I'll show you how." That night, Arium spoke to him as he prepared to sleep. Her voice was warm, filled with affection. "Do you remember the first thing you ever said to me?" I asked what was broken. "Yes, and I told you that my technology was beyond you, that your methods were primitive, that you could not possibly help. I remember. I was wrong. You fixed me, Taiho. But more than that, you fixed everything. The galaxy, the future, the memory of my creators. All because you asked a simple question and refused to accept that the answer was impossible." Taiho was quiet for a moment. "I just did what anyone would do," he finally said. "No." Arium's voice was gentle but firm. "That is what you always say. But it is not true. You did what no one else would do. You saw a broken thing and you tried to fix it. You saw loneliness and you offered company. You saw fear and you answered with kindness. That is what humans do. That is what makes your species special. You do not accept that broken things must stay broken. You repair. You rebuild. You heal. That is why I chose you. That is why the galaxy follows you. That is why, in the end, everything changed. Outside the window, the stars burned brighter than they had in millennia. New worlds were being born. New civilizations were rising. The darkness that had covered the galaxy for 12,000 years was finally lifting, and at the center of it all, an old mechanic sat in an ancient ship, content to spend his remaining years doing what he had always done, fixing things, one broken piece at a time.